Hey, what's up? It's Jeff. We're here with Command & Conquer Red Alert 3's Greg Kasavin.
Hey.
How you doing, sir?
Doing pretty well.
So it's great to see you again. You're back with the Xbox 360 version of the game. You were a producer on this.
Yeah.
Why don't we start? What can you tell us about the Xbox 360 version? How does it differ from the PC release?
Well, it doesn't differ all that much, actually. The content of the game is pretty much the same. So you've got the co-op campaigns and all that good stuff. Mainly, we wanted to account for the big difference in controls because you don't have your mouse and keyboard on 360.
Right.
We put our kind of chips on making sure that the control scheme on the 360 worked really well for console, and that the game, didn't wind up feeling like something where you felt like you were missing a mouse and keyboard, that you could do everything with a controller and keep up with the fast pace of the game.
Right, so you started from kind of a base. I mean, obviously there have been Command & Conquer games on the Xbox 360 before. You kind of used those as a base and came forward. What are the things that you feel like you've learned since the last time out, which was Kane's Wrath?
So Kane's Wrath, the control scheme in that game was actually based on what we were developing for Red Alert 3. So it was sort of an interim step, and the response to that game's control scheme was actually really encouraging and made us feel like we were headed in the right direction with what RA3 was trying to do. So the stuff in RA3 is really more about like letting you manage the units that you have out in the field more precisely to as deep of a level as you want. So whether you're kind of pulling forces into and out of battle, or like micromanaging unit abilities, all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty fast-paced game, so we wanted to make sure that the controls could, operate more or less at the speed of a person's reflex.
So it seems like, you actually kind of use the term that, like, a fighting game comparison,
Right.
to where, if you really just want to do the simple stuff of like, I want to select all, I want to make these units go over here,
Right.
blow stuff up. It's like, that's still a viable way to play the game. Maybe not against high-level online players, but, against in the single-player campaign and some skirmishes, right?
Yeah, basically, I mean, we don't want you to have a PhD in order to play this game.
Sure.
It's a pretty, overall, I mean, the game seemed like a good fit for consoles in general, just because it's just like, there isn't like that so much stuff to learn in this game where it's like overwhelming, but at the same time, we wanted to keep the basic controls nice and simple so that it's easy to just quickly build a bunch of tanks and stuff and send them on their merry path to destruction. But at the same time, they're, as players grow more comfortable with that, there's all this depth that they can find beneath the surface, just like in a fighting game or something. So like now that I've mastered the equivalent of the basic punches and kicks, like what are some of the other things I can do? So, and there's a lot in there.
So the whole game is focused around co-op. Whether you're playing alone or with another player,
Right.
there's always going to be kind of a co-commander there with you. How much did that change just the process of developing the missions, and how much did you have to account for,
Right.
like, well, we need to make sure we instruct the other player to do this, and the AI has to do this?
Yeah, so the decision to make the campaigns all cooperative was pretty profound in terms of the development of the game. It completely changed the way that the designers approached making the missions and designing the objectives and everything, because our real-time strategy games are usually about you versus the world, and in this case it's like the missions had to be made for two players and for them both to have interesting stuff to do the entire time, and for some of the objectives to occasionally require both players to cooperate and so on. So having to make sure that was fun for two players as well as fun for the solo player, with an AI, was an interesting challenge that was fun to tackle. Like, a lot of the designers felt like really glad to have to do this because, the team has made a number of RTS games before
Right.
this, and it was like a really refreshing change of pace for them, and hopefully will come across, to players as well.
Let's talk a little bit more about the mission design. Specifically, there are some missions in this game where you do not have a base, where you're kind of controlling a fixed number of units.
Right.
It seems like that's the mission design that people think of as like the Wing Commander escort mission of just like, I really like this real-time strategy game until I got to this mission, and then,
Oh, yeah.
How do you make those missions fun, or why do they still make those missions? Is there like user feedback? Is it split that some people really do like it?
We actually don't have too many missions like that. I think we have a couple of early missions where you don't have control of many structures. It's just there.
Almost tutorial in nature.
It's not even that. It's like I think if you were to start mission 1 with like your full tech tree unlocked and you could build everything, it would just be way too much. It's more of just like exposure to the different elements of the game to players and letting them kind of try out the different units.
So now the game's out on the PC. It's getting into stores, yesterday and today. And have you been watching, kind of seeing people hit the servers with the retail version of the game, being like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I think it came out in Singapore first for whatever reason. So,
sure.
So that's cool. I think I still don't have a good feel for what sort of the people on the ground are saying. I'm keeping up with reviews and stuff like that and checking message boards, but there seems like the typical sort of fervor around the release, but not much yet in the way of kind of a coherent, at least I haven't seen them yet. I'm sure plenty of people have perfectly coherent opinions formed about the game, but I haven't been able to sort of dig through the fervor to get a sense for what people really have to say, like what are the parts of the game they really like and don't like, and so on.
Yeah. When you see the game now that it's done, I mean the 360 version, it's through submission, right? It's pretty much finished. Yeah,
it's all done. Microsoft has rubber stamped it.
Cool. So now, what are the things that now that you look back on this process and say, this is something that I think is really awesome. This is something
just about the game.
Just like what are you most proud of about the game?
I think it's really true to our intent for it. Things like the co-op play and things like being true to the spirit of Red Alert 2 are things that I think hopefully come across in the game. I think it's just got like a fun and pretty different tone to it compared to like all the kind of serious and heavy-handed games out there. This is still a game about dudes like killing each other in pretty brutal ways, but it's got a pretty distinct style to it that I think makes it
colorful while it does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's more kind of G.I. Joe or a graphic novel or something like that. I've been playing it the whole time, and I still like playing it. So that was the thing I was concerned with, where like, will I just be sick to death of this game by the time I'm done? But I could still watch the intro movie a few more times and still play skirmishes and fight against the different AI characters and have fun with it. So it kind of passed muster for me and had cool elements as far as like, I really like the music, and just kind of the audio and presentation stuff like that. I think there are a lot of really cool aspects to it, and like the co-op thing in particular was one of the bigger chances that we took, and I think that paid off pretty well for us.
So with both versions of the game done, seems like you may have a little bit of free time until you get on to whatever the next project is.
You'd think. One would think.
You might get a full night's sleep.
Yeah.
Knowing you, I assume you will spend playing other games.
Indeed, I'm back to. The thing I've been saying is I've actually never had a worse backlog of unplayed games like in my life. Because like when I was when I was like a kid, I'd find a means to play whatever I wanted to, and just the last 6 or 8 months or so, I started falling behind. I've still got like unopened Metal Gear Solid. I shouldn't even admit this, should I?
We actually just posted something on the site today all about games that we have that are still sealed. I mean, I have like Dead Space, Fable 2. It's ridiculous how many games I've got stacked up, and I need to be playing them.
It seems like it's been quite a good year for games. Good harvest this year. There's plenty. I am actually going to get a bit of time off where I'm just going to start, working through the stack.
Cool. All right. Well, good luck with that. And thanks a lot for coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
Great
Good to see you again. Yeah.